Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Vinny and today I'm going to be showing you how to color correct your S-Log3 footage within Davinci Resolve. I shoot with a Sony FX30 and I'm shooting in S-Log3.cine and I use Davinci Resolve to white balance my footage, convert it to Rec 709 and also make LUTs adjustments. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I have some media files pulled up onto my project inside Davinci Resolve. These are some media clips that I recently took at SHOT Show 2025 in Las Vegas. With these clips, I'm going to go through and show you how to do the Rec 709 conversion, how to white balance your footage, and then also how to make LUTs adjustments. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is import your media files. I have this screen set up under the media tab inside Davinci Resolve. I pulled these files from my SSD drive after I exported them from my camera. So we're going to move over to the edit section. I'm going to copy and paste all these clips onto my edit section. Moving over to the color tab, this is where the magic's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and create 3 nodes. And then the 3 nodes are going to be for the 3 different things that I'm going to be doing. So the first one is going to be color space transformation. I'm going to place that on the second node. From here, you can go ahead and make the adjustments based on the settings that you use to shoot on your camera. So for my example, I'm shooting in Sony S-Gamut 3.cine, so I'm going to select that. And then for the input gamma, I'm going to go ahead and select S-Log3. As you can see, it has converted the log footage into Rec 709. So I'm going to jump into this first node right here. This is where I'm going to be doing some white balance correction and then also adjusting my exposure based on the clip that I have pulled up. The first thing that you're going to want to start off with doing is going to be white balancing your footage. The main reason is because you want to make sure that your white balance is on point. That way, when you add any LUTs onto your video clips, it is being represented correctly. So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to do. You can use this temperature gauge. Move it to the left if your footage is warm, move it to the right if your footage is cool, and then try to get it to where your whites look white. The other way that you can go ahead and do it is hit this dropper right here, touch something on the screen that is representing white, and that should white balance your footage pretty accurately. That's going to be the main way that I use in order to white balance my footage, and then from there you can go ahead and adjust the tint. The tint seems to be a little bit too green for me, so I lean that a little bit towards the magenta side, and then also I could lean back off of the white on this footage as well, so moving it a little bit to the warm side. This is representing it to where I would like it to be, and then from here you should be pretty much done. So moving on to the third node, this is where we're going to go ahead and paste our LUTs. I have this LUT section pulled up. I could go ahead and click and drag, put it right there, and immediately you're going to be able to tell that this is super strong on the footage. So one thing that you can do is go here to the key output, drag that to the left, and that's going to reduce the amount of LUTs that is being implemented to your footage. You're going to want to get it somewhere where it represents skin tones very well. So as you can see, I dropped it down from 1 to 0.4. I feel like this is pretty good to where I would like it to be. There's a quick preview in regards to with the LUTs on and with the LUTs off. And then as you can tell, the skin tones right here seem a little bit more on the orange side, which is the whole entire purpose of this LUTs. It's orange and blue, so it's gonna make the blues pop a little bit more and the orange pop a little bit more as well. And from here, now that you have your footage converted to Rec 709, and then you also have your LUTs embedded into your footage, you can go ahead and mess with the contrast and then also the exposure of your footage. So as you can tell, there's a lot of information getting crushed right here on the charts for the waveforms. The reason being is because all this shelf section is white, so it believes that the footage is overexposed. The main thing to focus on when color correcting your footage and properly exposing is making sure that the subject, which is what you're wanting to focus on, is properly exposed. You tend to have to battle between whether overexposing or underexposing anything behind you in order to properly expose your footage based on what you want to showcase. In this example, it's going to be the handguns, which is the product that we're trying to show off. This is properly exposed to me, so from there you can go ahead and leave it. So the benefit of using Davinci Resolve to color correct your footage is that once you have one clip done, if you have similar lighting for the rest of them, in order to color match your footage, all you have to do is select the clip that you have done, control copy, and then you can go ahead and control all and Control View. And that's gonna go ahead and implement all the corrections that you did to that clip to the rest of them. So the tricky situation for me at least was that the light varied based off of where I was shooting inside the trade show area. As you could see, this clip seems to be good on my end, but then when you go to the interview section, this seems to be a little bit too warm for me. So same thing here, you could go ahead and make minor adjustments. You have the LUTs implemented, and then you also have your Rec 709 implemented. So for me, this tends to be a little bit too warm. So I'm gonna go back to the main one right here, and you can do the exact same thing. Click the eyedropper, select something that's white, and that's gonna bring you a little bit closer to what true white is for your footage. From here, you could go ahead and mess with it. I feel like this is a little bit too on the green side, and then I could see that we can add a little bit more exposure as well. So right here, I think it looks good, at least for my liking. Same thing as this first clip, you're gonna wanna make sure that your subject is properly exposed. His cowboy hat seems to be casting a little bit of shadow, so you don't want to overexpose him. This seems to be good. And another thing to focus on is when white balancing, you wanna make sure that the skin tones right here don't become too drastic, which is the main reason why I color corrected it a little bit to the left on the temperature gauge, bumped it a little bit to the magenta side, and this seems to be pretty good, at least for the skin tone side of things. So moving on to the next clip, this is the third clip that I have pulled from the media files. As you can tell, different area within the trade show, therefore different lighting. This seems to be a little bit warmer, even though I copy and pasted the color corrections that I have made for the previous two clips. With this one, it's a little bit warmer, so I'm gonna drag this to the left to find the true white. The main thing you wanna focus on when color correcting your temperature and your footage is any white lights that you have within your scene or anything that is actually true white, you want to try to aim it to look true white. As you're able to tell, this doesn't look true white. This looks a little bit more yellowish and a little bit more on the orange side of things. This seems to be true white, and it properly color corrects the footage from here. Another thing that I could go ahead and do, you can tell that all the details are below this line for the waveform chart. So you can go ahead and bump up the exposure, bringing a little bit more of that detail to life. I feel like that's properly exposed. You could bump it down a little bit as well. Same thing, make sure you expose for your subjects. The main subject right here is this trade show booth that I was wanting to focus on. And then from here, that looks pretty solid. Okay, moving on to the very last clip. This is gonna be another one where I did an interview style video, and then the subject seems to be a little bit more on the green side of things. Main thing you want to focus on is make sure that all your contrast, highlights, exposure, and white balance temperature are made on this first node. Second one, as I mentioned, is for your Rec 709. And then third one is going to be for your LUTs that you're embedding onto your footage. So with this in place, you're going to want to go ahead and select this tool. You can go ahead and try to select something white, and that's going to color correct it to where the skin tones look a little bit more natural. I can tell that this is a little bit overexposed, so I could bring this down a little bit, and then that seems to look good, at least from my end. And then the skin tones seem to be a little bit on the magenta side. So from here, you could bring it over to the green, and that looks good. And then also mess with the white balance here. You don't want to take it too far to the left, and then try to gauge it off of what looks natural to your eyes. Right here, it looks perfect in comparison to how it was before. This is log footage with white balance, with Rec 709, and with LUTs. One thing that you can go ahead and tell is that if I unclick this, that's what the footage looked like if I were to not white balance it and then just throw that regular Rec 709. As you can tell, very green, very out of balance. And then the main thing is to try to nail those skin tones. Once you have those skin tones, everything looks natural to the eye, and then everything will fall into place, flow properly with all the other clips, and then you should be good to go. As long as you use the 3-node system, which seems to work for me, and this is on a professional setting, it should be pretty spot on in regards to your edits, and then also easy to track in regards to what node was used for what edit. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I'm always checking the comment section, so I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have. And then if you have any questions for future video ideas, feel free to leave them down below as well. And then also, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate you guys taking the time to learn with me, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.